What's up, Desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are back with another video. And today I'm doing my top 10 Mr. Olympia 2020 highlights and surprises. I do have a video on the way, which is going to be my top 5 disappointments, which people have actually been asking me for, because I did actually mention that I was going to do that after the Mr. Olympia. So I will be doing that video as well, but I want to make sure that I really highlight all the highlights and surprises and the positives from the 2020 Mr. Olympia. And I do have 10 of these as opposed to only 5 disappointments. So let's get straight into it. And I'll start with number 10 and count down to number 1. And number 10 is the changing of Olympia titles, which is something I actually really like to see, and to show that, you don't just have to knock out the champ. You can be quite close and be just slightly better and actually beat the champ in these divisions. And I think many of them were actually justifiable as well. So the ones that remained the same was the wheelchair, with Harold Kelly winning that one, the figure, and then the classic physique. The ones that changed over were the men's bodybuilding, obviously with Big Ramy winning that, women's bodybuilding, Andrea Shaw coming into that and winning the first women's bodybuilding Olympia in many years. The 212, Shaun Clarida. Men's physique, Brandon Hendrickson. Missy Truscott winning the fitness. Women's physique, we had Sarah Valliere, and then in the bikini, Janet Leung. So all of them were new Olympia champions, apart from Brandon Hendrickson, and he had won one Olympia title prior in the men's physique. So a lot of new champions, and something I really love to see as well, because many of these champions that did get beaten will be back next year, no doubt, with a vengeance. So I think there's going to be a lot of really good competition in 2021, and hopefully we get even more competitors on that stage, because we did have some people missing out due to not being able to get into the country and all sorts of situations. So I think 2021 sets up for a massive Mr. Olympia, and it's going to be very interesting to see where it's held and all that sort of stuff as well. So that's number 10. So move on to number 9. It's the emergence of Missy Truscott in the fitness division and the re-emergence of the fitness division. Because this was, honestly, I was watching it and I was actually talking to Michael Galley, who was at the contest, who I record the weekly bodybuilding breakdown with. And we were saying the same thing to each other. We were saying there's a lot of good routines at this Olympia. So Missy Truscott wins it over Oksana Grashina, who was really the standard in that fitness division for years, winning year after year. And Oksana still won the actual routine round, but Missy has the superior physique, and she has a phenomenal physique. Her routine was actually phenomenal as well. I think she came 2nd or 3rd in the routine. And, she beat some very, very good competitors, including last year's champion, Whitney Jones, who actually finished in 3rd. And I thought it was her best ever in terms of physique and routine. So that was a massive effort. So no doubt Whitney Jones will be back next year to take on Missy Truscott, and we might see the emergence of some other phenomenal fitness stars as well, like Ariel Kadar, who's been right up there for years as well. So we move on to number 8, and number 8 is Ian Valliere and Hunter Labrada, showing they belong on the Olympia stage and becoming rivals. Now, it was really, I suppose, a story all year. It started about Tampa Pro, where Hunter Labrada was coming into his pro debut, and everyone was saying, he looks good on Instagram, but will it convert to the stage? And Ian Valliere being, I suppose, the proven bodybuilder prior to that, and showing that, he's a Mr. Olympia competitor. So it was a really interesting matchup to who you're actually going to have winning. And I can't even remember who I had in the end, but I was sort of split 50-50 on who was actually going to win that show. Hunter Labrada showed that he belonged, and Instagram wasn't just Instagram photos. He looked great on stage as well, winning his pro debut, getting his ticket to the Olympia. Then Ian Valliere going on to the New York Pro, improving, and then getting his ticket to the Olympia. So it really set up for, I suppose, a matchup about Olympia. Many actually were on the side of Hunter Labrada, thinking he would win it, but Ian Valliere brought his best ever, finishes 7th place, Hunter Labrada just behind him in 8th, and they're actually tied at prejudging, which is amazing. And I think it sets up for a great rivalry for years to come, because they're really, I suppose, on a level sort of playing field right now, with Ian Valliere having the best of him lately. But I think Hunter was just slightly off his best. Maybe his body was a little bit tired, because he's been prepping all year. And for a guy in his first rookie season, finishing 8th in the Olympia, a phenomenal effort. And Hunter really did bring it. I think maybe he faded a little bit between prejudging and finals. I'm not too sure. And Ian just got better and better. And his conditioning was, I think, best ever. He kept that, I suppose, that balance of fullness and conditioning. And Ian said, after the show, they just did less. So he was looking great prior to the show. So he didn't mix too many things up. And I think that was the right decision. And he really, really did look phenomenal. And I think it's going to be a battle for years to come. And let me know, guys, in the comments, who do you think will have the better career out of Ian Valliere and Hunter Labrada? So move on to number 7. It's the stage production. It was phenomenal. When I saw this stage, like on the pay-per-view, I was shocked. And it was the biggest stage in a Mr. Olympia contest ever, which I think was great for fitness competitors, because they have all the room in the world to do whatever acrobatic stuff they want to do. And it made it easier for call-outs. I mean, you can have these guys spread out a long way. You can move the guys away from being in the background of some of these call-outs and stuff. I think it was great. And just the whole look of the stage, amazing. The only, I suppose, critique I'd have on it was the lighting at the actual finals, which was the same for the pre-judging and finals for the open men's bodybuilding. And then when you look at the pre-judging for like the 212s, they have the black backdrop. I think that looks much better, and you can see the physique a lot better as well. I mean, I don't mind it for the finals having it, so it's just, not a black backdrop. But I do think like they had the Mr. Olympia statue in the back at some stages, and I think the backdrop was maybe slightly too like golden and mixed in with some of the competitors' tan as well. So maybe have a contrast in color at least somewhat, maybe a little bit more. But overall, I mean, the stage production was amazing. And the fact that they moved this like a month before the contest from Vegas to Orlando, like, I'm surprised the contest even happened. So any sort of stage production was good in my view, and it was just probably one of the best ever. So congratulations to obviously Jake Wood, Dan Solomon, Tamer Elgindi, and the whole team at Mr. Olympia on pulling that off. In number 6, we have Chris Bumstead improving on his weaknesses and showing his dominance in the classic physique class. So coming into this Olympia, there's a lot of talk around Breon Ansley and Chris Bumstead. I was leaning towards Breon Ansley even leading into it. And then I think I saw a few photos like those last few days. I changed my pick to Chris Bumstead, and it was a wise pick as well because Chris Bumstead really did dominate this competition. After prejudging, I was a little bit like, Breon might win these few poses, but really when I look back at it, Breon maybe won one of the poses, maybe two. Chris Bumstead was very, very dominant in some of them as well. So he's just so dominant that you really couldn't pick anyone else but him. His stature, his height, it just looks phenomenal on stage. And really, I suppose it's just his structure really carries him a long way, but he's added the muscle to that structure as well. Now, when you look at him from the back, he's not incomplete anymore. He's really not. He's a complete bodybuilder, and I would love to see him in the open. It won't happen, obviously, due to his health conditions and whatnot as well, but just a phenomenal bodybuilder, and I can't wait to see what he looks like next year. The fact that he's got, he's grown a little bit. He's got an extra inch or so on him, so he's actually able to grow another 10 pounds or so in this division, and that's scary for these other competitors. They'll even be able to stand up to that. As long as Chris stays healthy, he's going to be winning in this division for a long time. In number 5, women's bodybuilding is back with a bang. Andrea Shaw winning for women's bodybuilding class, which hasn't been at the Olympia for several years now. So Andrea Shaw is phenomenal. I think she was a clear winner in this class. No disrespect to, the women just behind her, Helly Trevino and marvelous Margie Martin, but I think Andrea Shaw was just that good that my eyes couldn't actually come off her. Like her insertions between her delts, her triceps, her biceps, and the way that actually flows. And then all her other body parts are pretty much on par as well. I just think she had the nicest muscle bellies, and she was, I suppose, the woman to take this division, and I think she can be dominant for years unless someone else comes along. I think that she's going to continue to win Olympia titles unless she misses a mark a little bit and some of these other girls come in, spot on like they really were. Honestly, most of these women were absolutely amazing condition, and I think it was, really impressive to see that, that top 3, top 4, top 5, they were really, really good. So I think women's bodybuilding, regardless of what you think of it, it's here to stay. Many people love it, many people don't love it. So let me know what you think and what you think of the standard of women's bodybuilding in the comments below. In number 4, Akeem Williams comes in, gets first call out. That's what he said he actually wanted to do on my channel, Desktop Bodybuilding, in an interview just days prior to the Mr. Olympia. So here's what Akeem actually had to say in that interview. I suppose I'll ask the question straight off the bat. Where are you thinking you might actually be able to place at this 2020 Mr. Olympia?
All I know is I'm going there to get a first call out.
Awesome.
And then whatever happens after that happens. But I want to be in that first call out. The goal is to be in that first call out.
Yep.
So I'm bringing a package that would definitely solidify me and get me in that first call out. And then whatever happens, happens.
So there's Akeem Williams from an interview I did days prior to the 2020 Mr. Olympia. And it was really cool to see a guy saying, I want first call out. Many people not considering Akeem to be a top 6 contender. He comes in there, he achieves his goal, beats guys like Dexter Jackson, Hunter Labrada, Ian Valliere, and just really makes his mark on that 2020 Mr. Olympia and shows he's an actual contender. Next year, I think coming in, he's going to get looked at straight away. He's going to be, when they think about those first call-out guys, his name is going to be right in there now. And I think that, unless he misses his mark, he's going to be in that first call-out next year, or unless you get a huge amount of guys coming back like Sean Roden, Phil Heath chooses to compete again, Flex Lewis, but I think even he can match up with these guys. He is that good. He is huge. He's conditioned. And, his back, which was his weakness for years, it's still maybe a little bit soft in that back and, not quite as developed as some, but his structure and just the size of him in general is so impressive when you see stands next to these top guys and you don't realize it until he's standing next to him and you go, wow, he's bigger than him. He's in condition. What's he missing? So I think for years to come now, Akeem is established as one of those top tier pros. So in number 3, Dexter Jackson's retirement at the 2020 Mr. Olympia. And it was an emotional one. Like watching it as well, I was like almost getting choked up, and talking about it now and thinking about it actually gives me chills. So his family rushed the stage at the finals during his posing routine, and he broke down. Like he was on the ground, his family was all around him jumping around, and it was, Dexter got up, he gave a bit of a speech and talked about his career and everything, and it was a touching moment. Dexter was brought to tears, and he's brought to tears even at the press conference as well. And hearing him talk, it was something special. And a guy 51 years of age, still placing top 10 in the Olympia, he can't be a disappointment in Mr. Olympia. Some people say the way he came in was a disappointment compared to how he looked at the Arnold Classic earlier in the year. I can't even say that. The dude's 51 years of age, looking like that, top 10 in the Olympia. Dexter Jackson, he's done himself proud. He's had an amazing career, and if he doesn't do any more shows at all, we know it's his last Olympia, then, what a career from Dexter Jackson. In number 2, Shaun Clarida coming in as the shortest man in that 212 division and winning the 2020 Olympia against all odds. Now, this dude, I never thought he would be a successful pro. When he was placing top 5 at the New York Pro, or around that mark a few years ago, I was like, good on Shaun Clarida. He's amazing. Look at his conditioning. I never thought he'd get to that level. He's well exceeded that physique now. He wins that 2020 Olympia. And really, at the prejudging, I thought Kamal's put on too much size, and he's better. He's going to win this 212, hands down. I didn't see the details that actual Shaun Clarida had, and it looked like seeing the photos up close and getting a better, I suppose, clearer video, because mine wasn't perfectly crystal clear at prejudging, maybe due to my internet connection or whatever. I had Kamal winning, hands down, but when I go back and look at it, maybe I still would have had Kamal slightly edging Shaun Clarida, or maybe I had it very close. But at finals, I think it became more evident that Shaun Clarida was better. I think at prejudging, Kamal was better. Very, very close contest, but Shaun Clarida, he wins this contest, and he earned it because he is maxing out his genetics. If he can get better from this, I don't know how he does it. Maybe he adds a little bit more muscle and holds it well in that physique, but damn, he made some crazy improvements and shocked everyone at that 212 Olympia, because everyone was sort of talking not about Shaun Clarida so much, they were talking more about Derek Lunsford and Kamalo Gagni and the battle between them, and that's how I was dubbing it as well, I suppose, promoting it, not really dubbing it. But I knew Shaun Clarida was going to be a contender. I think I picked him in 3rd or 4th, but he exceeded my expectations. I think everyone's as well. So Shaun Clarida comes in number 2 there. So in first is Big Ramy, winning the 2020 Mr. Olympia. And I'm going to tell you why it's so special and important what Big Ramy actually did. So Big Ramy earlier in 2020, he finished 3rd behind Dexter Jackson in 2nd and William Bonac at that 2020 Arnold Classic before everything sort of just shut down. Now Dexter Jackson finished 9th in the 2020 Olympia. William Bonac finished 5th. So Big Ramy made huge improvements. He came in better conditioning while he was big and still amazing at that Arnold Classic. I think that, maybe these other 2 guys slipped. I don't think William Bonac really slipped, to be honest. I thought he was phenomenal at the 2020 Olympia, and had he placed a few spots higher, there really wouldn't have been any complaints from me. But Big Ramy just got that much better. He brought better conditioning. He just looked tighter overall, which made him look actually bigger. Like when he's standing next to these other guys like Phil Heath and Brandon Curry, he sort of made them look like a lot smaller than these dudes actually are, because Brandon Curry and Phil Heath are still huge, they're enormous bodybuilders. So the fact that Big Ramy could actually make them look like smaller bodybuilders when they're standing next to each other was just a massive accomplishment. So Big Ramy, shocked everyone. I think I had him picked down in 4th or 5th. I made a video actually a few years ago, which people have started commenting on, where I said why I think Big Ramy will win at the Olympia one day. So I was proven right, at least in that one, but in my predictions for the 2020 Olympia, he proved me wrong. He came in conditioning, and hats off to Big Ramy and what he did. And now he's actually a massive celebrity in Egypt. He already sort of was, but he's gone to another level now. And they've got, buses wrapped with his face, and he's really got a hero's welcome coming back to Egypt. So congratulations to Big Ramy. I hope he's not too shy of the media, because it seems like he's going to be in the media's eye, and I suppose in the public's eye over there in Egypt. And I don't think he's going to be walking anywhere anytime soon without being mobbed by fans, which I think is sort of cool. And hopefully he's that sort of guy that actually doesn't mind that. So that's my top 10 highlights and surprises from the 2020 Mr. Olympia. So let me know in the comments if you would have this ordered a little bit differently, or if there's anything that I actually missed out that you'd have as a highlight from the 2020 Mr. Olympia. So let me know all that in the comments below. If you guys like and appreciate this content, please give this video a thumbs up, smash that like button, also subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up for myself, Xavier Wills at Desktop Bodybuilding, including my top 5 disappointments from the 2020 Olympia, which is coming very soon as well. So that's it from me. For Xavier Wills, Desktop Bodybuilding, we are out.